Welcome back to the Maven Show. This is your host, Rohit. Today we have Kristina, the international speaker, entrepreneur, and philanthropist and author. Thank you, Kristina, for getting into the show.
Thank you so much for having me and for giving me an opportunity to share.
I think you've been doing amazing stuff from last many years, and even I am even inspired from Vishen, obviously, and you guys working in Mind Valley, you guys doing amazing stuff into the Mind Valley and so on from last probably more than 10 years now. So you guys did incredible things into the entrepreneurship. So would you just like to give a quick intro, how you got started into entrepreneurship, your public speaking and your authorship as well?
Well, Mind Valley was my break into entrepreneurship. I was born in Soviet Union. It's a very different environment from US, where we incorporated, and it's in Soviet Union, business wasn't legal, so I never thought of starting a business in my life. It wasn't something I wanted or something I dreamt about. I never had any decent role models. I had my career started in the government, and that was what I imagined for myself. But then when I was 25, I got married with Vishen, and I moved to US and left my thriving by then career in the government. And since I had to rediscover myself in the completely new world, and for some time I wasn't yet decided, and Vishen was passionate about starting this side thing. At that time it was side thing for us, so I just chose to help him with his business. So I ended up in business accidentally. It wasn't by design, it wasn't my intention, but in a way maybe it is a lucky beginning, because I never had the fears about business. I never understood what it was. So when we started Mind Valley, and Vishen was concerned, of course, more about the mission and what we did and what kind of problems we solved as Mind Valley. I did more or less all the other things that business needed to do. So that actually set me on the path of reading books about how to do business, how to make money, and all such things. So I learned it in action.
Got it. Cool. So started at 25 and now you're at this, and now Mindwell is well known. You guys are doing international speaking as well. So yeah, it takes a lot, but it's worth a while, obviously. Cool.
Yes, yeah. It's I think it's such a process where you don't notice how it grows. It's like with children. When you live with a child, it's the same child to you all the time. But if you look at the pictures from years ago, you suddenly realize what a tiny baby it was. So I think that with business, it's very similar. When you are in the process, you never realize how much you change, how much you grow. Well, hopefully. Of course, there are a lot of businesses who unfortunately don't grow or who fail, which is also part of the story. And it is also a transformation. The question is, do you see how you grow as that happens?
And this happens, like failing is a part of success. So it should be there.
It is if you have the ability to turn it to success. I do not know the statistics, because I never studied business and I didn't really care so much about it, but I know that it's something scary, like 1 in 5 businesses only thrives, or 1 in 10, something like that. So I believe that that failure is much more common, and of course it is part of life, but for a lot of businesses it does become the end of the story. And I've done more than just Mind Valley in English, and I know that sometimes circumstances of life can be very challenging and hard. And while we really admire persistence and going through everything, but sometimes it is wiser to close things down and start from scratch and just take lessons.
You cannot just put the hammer on the same thing if the pin is not going on that exact same point of the wall, exact rail. It's real. You can change strategies and things like that, obviously.
True. Yeah.
So you are an entrepreneur yourself. You guys got started with that things. What would you like to speak about that thing? Like, do you think, like, is it easy to go to be as an entrepreneur, or what it takes to be as an entrepreneur?
Sorry, I didn't hear very well. I think there was a connection error.
Okay, got it. So I'm just asking, like, you've been an entrepreneur, so you guys have been into entrepreneurship. Do you think, like, what it takes, like, Is it easy to be an entrepreneur, or what it takes to be
Ah,
what it takes to be as an entrepreneur?
uh, is it easy to be entrepreneur? I believe it depends on your personality and your what kind of person you are. For some people, that's the only thing they can be, and that's a natural way of being. I've seen entrepreneurs who just breathe entrepreneurship. That whatever they see, everything around them is a business opportunity, and they get excited
Yeah,
about it and they love it.
yeah,
And then there are people who do business for many other reasons. There are people who do business because they believe that this is the only way to earn money, and they may have a very different approach to that. People who end up in business because they think it's a good opportunity, but that's not so natural to them. I think that my previous business partner maybe it suffered a little bit when I had my entrepreneurial explosion moments. So I think it very much depends on who you are as a human being. But entrepreneurship is also not one thing. There are different styles of doing business. There is the style that which we do in Mindvalley, which is passion business, when you see a problem in the world that you want to solve, and your whole business is around making this world a better place, at least in that aspect, and that requires a certain type of a person. It requires a person who's passionate, who is dedicated, who is quite determined and believes in confidence is an important part of it. But then there are people who do businesses to flip, to exit, who do invest.
yeah. Just to profits.
There are people who, and I'm not saying just for profits per se, but it's a different nature of business and they have different personality traits. There are people who like to take opportunities and turn them into businesses. I believe someone like Richard Branson would be an example of that. And he is also passionate, but he's not passionate about solving one particular problem. And then there are people, I call them more, the freelancer type of entrepreneur, people who love their craft, but they don't want to build a business as an investment or as an entity which can exist without them. Their business is just serving them as the craftsman of whatever they're doing. So there are so many different types of business, and there are so many different types of personalities. I do believe, though, that almost every single human being on planet Earth can do something for themselves. So call it having a business or being an entrepreneur or being just self-employed. I think everybody has that in them. It's just that we live in the world that says that business is risky, which it is, but so is employment. And that is something what we don't talk about. So because you're told, find a job, it's stable. No, nothing is stable. Job is not
Real.
any more
It's
stable
not.
than business.
Yeah. And business is obviously for retirementship as well, even for a couple of years probably. And if you were talking about the business ship or entrepreneurship, it's about the person level as well. Some people are even happy with 10 employees. Some people are even happy with 100 employees. Some people are making just 1 million USD or even like 1 million in ARR. They are happy with it. Some are making 100 and they're still not happy with that. It's about to be happy. Yeah,
that's not true. But happiness is a different discussion, I believe, than business, which I am actually very fond of, because I think there is a lot of research which shows what makes us happy, what doesn't make us happy. Although we as a society don't want to talk about happiness seriously.
You have published your programs into that, like how to be happy, obviously, I guess.
I have a program which is called 7 Days to Happiness. I think it's called 7 Days to Happiness. It's based on one of my earlier talks, which actually attracted the attention of the wider audience, and that's how I got encouraged to speak more and to be more of an author and less of an entrepreneur. Well, I think once entrepreneur, you're forever entrepreneur. So I do talk about happiness as well, but right now I talk more about self-love.
Got it. Cool. Amazing. So you said like you have published multiple programs as well. Like, how was your experience with each of the programs, and what was the story, and why did you launch those programs, and how those programs are benefiting other people? You know what I mean?
I will say something which maybe isn't a very fair thing to say. At least maybe my marketing team is going to kill me for that. But when I create my talks or my programs or even the book, I actually think think of the question that I have in my mind, and it's an act of self-expression more than anything. And I know it's maybe not very fair to the reader, and my editor kept telling me, you have to think about the reader. So that's a very interesting approach, I believe. When it comes to what do my programs do to people who go through them, just today I had an interview with a woman who had done one of my older programs, and it's old enough for me to feel that I've moved on, you know, and I've become deeper and more profound. But she said, no, you gave me two massive realizations, and my life has changed. So how people's lives change, of course, depend on many circumstances. And because I talk about being true to yourself, then the changes can happen in different areas of life. We are working with the main character of one person's life. Which part of that life is going to change depends on that person's current state of affairs. You know, where the person is happy and where the person is compromising their own truths. So how my programs change people's lives in many different ways. But that would be more of a marketing video.
No, that's real. That's real. It actually, like, pros and cons, and it should, like, everyone has the different priorities, you know, so it should be affecting the same way, for real.
Yes, I would imagine that's not how it works, but that's true about so many things. Like if you, for example, if you read a book and then you go and read reviews on that book, the kind of things that people pick up from the same kind of book or from the same kind of movie is insanely cool. I actually think that it is so wonderful how our interaction with programs, with teachings, are a little bit a reflection on ourselves. To make it a little bit more practical, I love Dostoevsky. He's a Russian classical author. And I remember reading him since childhood. Well, in childhood, I read him because I was forced to by my teacher. And I really found him very dark and depressing and hard to read. But then with years, as I kept reading other books by him, and as I kept changing, I started noticing things which before I never noticed. So he's deep and he's very multifaceted, and there are so many different aspects to what he's writing, but what you pick up depends on where you are in your life. And I think that's true about our interaction with anything in the world, with colleagues, with businesses, with books, with programs, with movies, with music even.
Yeah, that's real. Cool. Let's just talk about the book. You're about to publish in 2023. You have recently decided that you are about to publish the new book. I think it's becoming awesome. What's the story behind that, and what it is all about?
Well, the story is not behind the book, it's inside the book. But
you can tell me the quick summary though.
Yeah, I like sometimes to give unexpected answers. I think it's refreshing if you have to work if you have to work long hours. Sometimes it's good to break the pattern. But the book is about finding your path back to you. And it is inspired by my own experience, of course, but it is not based on my life. Just warning ahead. So the book is not about me. The book is about every reader who picks it up. And how I know that it is about every reader who picks it up is because I do share my ideas. Of course, I do share exercises, but I also believe that we can't, we teachers or we authors, we can't provide transformation to people. We can prepare people for transformation. We can give them the tools, the support, the companionship, but the transformation happens when the person is ready, when the person wants to do that. So of course, I created my book for it to be a journey for the person who reads it. So I encourage people to ask themselves questions, to notice things, and that's the true transformation, not the story that I share. Well, ideas for sure, ideas prime you for noticing certain things, but literally the book, the essence of the book is in your work with that book. Do you, like when I post a question in the book, when I write the question in the book, do you pause and ask yourself, do you wonder what's your real answer?
Yeah.
And if you interact with it, then you get what I hope you will get, profound understanding of who you are, acceptance of who you are, and hopefully ultimately love for yourself in all your glory, with all your beautiful and less than beautiful sides.
And I think it's more into self-love, probably knowing the person who they are, obviously, you know, rather than what the society is saying, or rather than what the external voices are.
Well, we like to call them the external voices, but actually external voices only matter to us if we relate to them, or if we take them as truth. We very often, you know, let's say a person who you have no respect for, who you do not know, a random stranger on the street could say some random unpleasant thing to you. Is it going to hurt you? Apart from someone being rude to you for no reason, probably you wouldn't even pay attention to that, because your logic would be, that person doesn't know me, and what are they talking about? So usually when we let public's opinion influence us, it's because something in that opinion triggers something in us, and we actually subscribed to it to a degree. So when people say that, you know, I can't do that because society doesn't want me to do that, or my family doesn't want me to do that, that means that you on some level agree with that decision.
Yeah, that's real.
And I know, of course, I have to make a little disclaimer, because I've lived in Asia for 16 years, and I've traveled and I've worked with refugees and with marginal communities. So I know that there are people who objectively live in circumstances where they might not have full control over their own life. But most likely these people are not listening to us on this platform, because most likely they don't have the capacity for that, or maybe it's not a priority, or maybe they don't have access to any of that. So for those who listen to us, I bet that majority, if you think that something is a limitation to you, it's your own choice to make it a limitation.
Got it. That's cool. Cool. Kristina. Okay, cool. Just give a quick advice for anyone who is about to publish their own first book. Just quick advice, maybe.
Yeah, I was almost tempted to say don't publish it, but then I thought it would be so misunderstood. No, I'm taking that back. I'm taking that back. It would be fun. It would be a fun answer, though. I would say, ask yourself, why do you want to do that, and what's your main goal? There are a lot of books being published every year, and they all are published for different reasons. And since they're published for different reasons, I think they're destined for different futures. Yeah. And if you are clear about why you are doing it, what's your reason, what's your purpose for that, then your path is clearer. You know where you have to go, and it also provides motivation in those days when it's hard.
Yeah, that's real. Cool. Well, thank you so much, Kristina, for getting into the show. It was amazing to talk to you and meeting you finally. And we will be waiting for you for the first book to get published as quick as possible. I will be having one first copy to get done and distributed with my own bunch of things, and a bunch of friends as well. Well, thank you so much for having into the show.
Thank you so much for your endorsement and for giving me this opportunity.